Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about why the avoidant lost you.
Oof.
That's right. You better believe it.
All right, before we get into it, I did want to say that Craig and I are available for coaching sessions. So if that is something that you're interested in, you can head to the website and book from there.
Yeah. You know, a lot of times people that have an anxious attachment style are so consumed with the connection, taking care of it, taking care of the person that they love, and really just having this attitude of, I will do anything to make this work with that person because I love them and I care about them. And you might find yourself in a situation with somebody who's more avoidant, who's almost the exact opposite. That they're like, yeah, I guess I'm okay, but if we break up, we break up. And it can be so hard to have such polar opposites in a connection because it's like one person wants it so badly and the other person's like the exact opposite of wanting it badly. They're like, take it or leave it. Okay, whatever. And so, you know, what happens is you give so much, you care so much, you love so much, and then you have somebody walk away and you feel like you lost the best person you've ever met. You've lost somebody that you would have done anything for. But the reality is they really lost somebody that was amazing and loved them. And I hear this all the time, that the avoidant will tell the anxious person, you've treated me better than anyone I've ever been with. You have treated me better than anyone that's ever been in my life. You were better to me than, and it's like, why would you break up with me? Right?
God, that's such a heartbreaker.
It's like so confusing. It's like, if you're telling me I was the best thing you ever had, why would you walk away? But that's what we're trying to tell you, is that they are missing out on somebody that really cares about them.
Right? And a lot of times the avoidant is dependent on the more emotional one, the more anxious one in the relationship to keep it together. You know, in some cases, the avoidant might actually be living vicariously through their anxious partner for them to even feel something.
Yeah.
It's almost like the anxious partner carries more of that emotional load for the both of them.
Yeah.
And so that is a way that they've lost you. They've lost the glue that kept that relationship together, and they've lost your ability to connect, which also kept them connected. So that's all part of the avoidant attachment style.
Yep.
You know, is that they are able to distance and they are able to kind of have this indifferent attitude about relationships sometimes that are to their own self-detriment.
Yeah, because the avoidant isn't as motivated to be in that connection or work on those emotional issues or, you know, explore their own traumas and heal those things that they've had in their life. I mean, because it was a lot tougher, right? So they kind of shut down a lot. And so they kind of have that, you know, with their partner who's helping them navigate those things and kind of heal those things in a way.
Right. And they've likely lost somebody who has more motivation to fix a relationship. And this is something that's ironic that I see sometimes is when an avoidant person dumps their ex and then they get into a relationship with somebody who's more avoidant than them.
Yeah.
That's always a very interesting case to see, because then you start to see their anxiety come up. They start to see the anxious person's value in a relationship when they become anxious.
That's right.
So this is something that happens, you know, and this is why we talk about attachment style being fluid. And there's times where there's higher anxiety even in someone who's avoidant, and I know that can be kind of a mind boggler.
Yeah, it's like, I don't get it, but it makes sense if you really think about it.
So when you're dating an avoidant, you always feel like you're the person who loves more, who's invested more.
Yeah.
And we tend to think of this as a negative thing. We think that you're basically gambling your love away in a situation where you might not get it back. It might not be reciprocated, or at least reciprocated to that same intensity that you put in. But research shows that the person who is invested more in the relationship actually reports a higher relationship satisfaction.
Interesting.
And that is very interesting to me, because we always in society see the person who loves more as the loser, or somebody who's the fool in love, right? But
you'll see that comment on like every other video.
But it's really the person who's brave enough to love that's able to experience the benefits of what it's like to love.
Yeah.
And that's something that's very difficult for somebody who's avoidant to understand, because love has been associated with hurt so much in their life. For them, it's such a challenge to put themselves out there and be vulnerable and trust. But for somebody who might be more anxious or even secure, ideally, is they're able to trust and it feels good. They have that security that they would be resilient enough to deal with whatever situation. They're able to be present enough to receive the love that's around them in that present moment.
Yeah.
So
They get a lot from you. Okay? Being with somebody who's so nurturing and caring and, making these bids to have these connections with them, that is a strength. Being able to, love and to, bond and connect. And so you're helping them in a lot of ways, because they probably didn't even get that in their childhood. And some ways, the love that you're getting or giving them is more than they've ever gotten before. And so that can overwhelm them, but it also kind of pushes them to grow and ideally to learn to connect better. So they're losing someone who's trying to help them.
Right. And your emotion is your strength. Like I was saying earlier, in society, we see sometimes people are, they're so emotional. They can't keep it together. And out of the anxious attachment style, the emotion isn't what's wrong or dysfunctional about it, right? It's the way that you navigate through that emotion.
Yeah.
It's that inability to self-soothe. The emotion part is fine. Emotions are natural. They come up. They can't be predicted all the time, right? So it's about how you use that emotion. Being an emotional person isn't a bad thing. It isn't a wrong thing. If anything, it's showing your emotional capacity.
Yeah.
So the avoidant lost somebody who has a greater emotional capacity.
It's true. Yeah. It's just that the anxiety, and when that gets too much, that causes us to have those meltdowns and lose emotional self-control.
Right.
That's the component of the emotion you do have to work on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the emotion itself isn't bad. It's how we put the reins on it, how we guide it, what we do with it, right? How we respond to it.
But you need to really look at it like you gave them something that many people have not tried to give them in their life. You tried to care for them, you tried to love them, you tried to create a safe environment and, facilitate something beautiful. And if they can't see that, or if it's too much for them, they're missing out on something special, Right,
right. And avoidant without someone to love is very lonely. I know that right now they're enjoying their independence. They're enjoying the separation elation we talk about that comes after a breakup, their sense of freedom after a breakup. But all avoidance, all people desire that human connection.
Yeah.
Of course, there's things that can go a little wonky in early childhood in those first couple of years that can affect their desire for relationships, that can affect how they attach. Right? But we're all wired for human connection.
Yeah.
So you being able to love them, it's a really beautiful thing if you think about it. You being able to love them was valuable.
Yeah, and when you said how lonely they were, it just reminded me of like a lost turtle.
Right.
And I saw on my neighborhood app last night, somebody posted that their turtle got lost.
Oh, no.
I'm not even making it up.
Did you look for it?
Yeah, it was in the backyard. I threw it in the lake. It was a box turtle, so it wasn't a good idea. Just kidding. But I really did see a lost turtle. I'm like, who's posting about a lost turtle? One of my friends used to do a joke. You know Eric, and he used to do a bit about a lost bird.
Oh, really?
Hey, there was a sign for a lost bird. It just flew away. Do I still get the reward?
Oh.
But lost, it kind of reminds me like an avoidant is kind of like a sad lost turtle in their shell, all alone, shut down. And it's kind of like sad. And here you were trying to take care of them, like the neighbor who lost their turtle would love them and take care of them,
Yeah.
So they missed out on somebody good. And, many of you are still beating yourselves up for smothering and doing those mistakes that turn them off. And those are behaviors you can change. But if you were a good partner that was really loving and tried to be there for somebody, pat yourself on the back, because you probably gave them more than most people have ever given them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's something that people don't forget.
Yep.
Something I tell a lot of you on calls. When I see a lot of that really healthy behavior in relationships, I like to praise it. I like to notice it and acknowledge it, because those are things that show your character. That really shows who you are and how you show up in relationships. So you always see me raving on the calls about you if I hear really good things. So.
All right. So hopefully this one's been helpful to you. And of course, if you want to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name at the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.